Well, I have a whole list of questions. I don't know if we're going to cover everything, actually. We still have Chintamani's questions from last week. And then Anadi Krishna Prabhu, he also had some questions. And also we still have some lists to go through that was suggested by Chinmoy Prabhu. And also, okay, and also I just had a question from Karan, which maybe I'll cover first because it's just a clarification, so it won't take long. And first of all, my Dandavat pranams to everyone present. I hope you're all doing very well. Of course, I feel very fortunate to have all of your good association and keeping me, to be kept engaged. And I'm here, just my news, I'm here in Hungary. I'm here basically to take care of some health issues. So I'm going to be here for another month or so. And we're having small daily programs, and we have bigger weekend get-togethers. And we had a really nice public event last week organized by Kanupriya in the local city. And then this coming weekend, we have some more public programs in another city, Debrecen, which is a couple hours from here. So the devotees are, they're trying to do some preaching here, which is very positive. Okay, so I'll cover first from Karan. He's saying in our last meeting on Monday, you said Krishna consciousness is living up to spiritual substance. I didn't understand the essence of that. Living up to spiritual, I think maybe you just misheard some words. I was just making the point that Krishna consciousness is not a conception. It's not only a conception. It's not a theoretical understanding, but it is a living current of reality. It is a living spiritual current that exists beyond the mental or intellectual sphere. That was the point. I don't remember the exact context, but that was what I was saying. And then, okay, well, Chintamani has said to prioritize others. So maybe I'll cover Anadi Prabhu's questions first, since we don't usually have him with us. Okay, his question was, let me see. People say that Maya is very strong, but I remember from a lecture in which it is said that once one takes initiation, one is under the care of Krishna and no longer under the power of illusion. Okay. And then he says, I've come to think that is something we say to ourselves so we can keep doing all the mistakes that we enjoy. Well, self-delusion is definitely a problem that we all deal with. Yes, I mean, yes, that is something that devotees like to say, that goes around, that when we take initiation, all of our karma leaves us. We're under Krishna's care and everything's going to be perfect. Sometimes we hear this kind of idea. First of all, we have to understand what is initiation. Really, initiation is not just it is not just a ceremony. It is not just about making a formal connection. Real initiation is something very serious, and and this was something we heard Srila Gurudev talk about a few times. Everybody, so many people say they're initiated, but are we actually initiated? And Srila Gurudev, he used to quote a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Diksha Kale, maybe spoken by Mahaprabhu himself. Diksha Kale Bhakta Kode Atma Samarpan, saying that, well, let me remember the full verse. Diksha Kale Bhakta Kode Atma Samarpan, Se Kale Krishna Kode Tarsa. But the main point here in this verse is that at the time, saying at the time, Diksha Kale means at the time of initiation, Bhakta Kode Atma Samarpan, when the devotee surrenders themselves. So it is saying that what is initiation? We can read, by inference here, that initiation means when the devotee fully surrenders themselves, when the practitioner fully surrenders themselves, that is initiation. So at the time of initiation, when the devotee fully surrenders themselves, then the verse continues, at that time, Krishna accepts that devotee to be as good as himself. He accepts them into his inner family, his inner group. So Gurudev made the point, based on this verse, that real initiation means full surrender. There's another famous verse, which Srila Sridhar Maharaj would quote. How does it go? Divyam Gyan, it's a definition of Diksha, initiation given in the scripture. Divyam Gyanam Yatodadvat Korya Papasya Sankshayam. So this is where this idea is coming from, saying that what is initiation? Divyam Gyanam Yatodadvat. It is the transmission of divine Divya Gyan, divine knowledge. And Korya Papasya Sankshayam. And all previous pap, all previous sin will be dispelled, will be destroyed. So there's two sides here. There must be full realization of the spiritual knowledge that is being extended by Guru. That must be not just understood or accepted in a superficial way, but it must be something deeply realized within the heart, and fully. It must be something that the disciple wholesale has imbibed and is living cent per cent within their lives and throughout every aspect of their existence. So, and then as a consequence of that, as a result of that full heart acceptance and realization, then naturally, automatically, all previous ties will be cut. All sinful tendencies will be purified. The bondage of karma will be removed. So it's real initiation. It is a heavy thing. It is not a light thing. And as long as we have not fully accepted, fully embraced, fully realized what our gurus are giving us, then we're not fully under their shelter. We're not going to be fully free from the influence of illusion, and we're not going to be free from the consequences of our previous karma. And also, everything is up to the Lord. One may be fully surrendered, but for their own purification, they still have to face many tests and examinations from the illusory plane. One may still, by Krishna's will, a surrendered soul, for their own purification, they may have to continue to face karmic reactions. So it is a complex matter, and it's not going to be an over. Of course, it can be. We live in the realm of infinite possibility. Wherever the Lord is concerned, anything is possible. But for the most part, it's not going to be an overnight transformation. And it's not a matter of just accepting the beads. Trivikram Maharaj, he told me that his brother took initiation over the phone from Srila Gurudev, just through a phone call. And afterwards, Gurudev told Trivikram Maharaj that the initiation depends upon his faith. That is the real transaction there. It is an exchange of faith. The Guru is saying, I'm accepting you as a sincere seeker. I have faith in you. And that sincere seeker is putting their full faith in Guru. Yes, you can help me. Yes, you are the Lord's representative. Yes, I am fully surrendering to you. So it is really a transaction of faith substantially that is taking place. And so whether or not even there has been a formal ceremony of initiation, that doesn't matter actually. It is a matter of faith. So that is the substance. And naturally, the more that we can move towards, what Guru is giving us, move towards the teachings of Guru, to that extent, then naturally purification will take place, and we will become more and more free from the influence of illusion. But as long as we are still, investing our energy on the other side, or as Shuddha Prabhu used to say, I don't know if it was something that Srila Prabhupada said or they said in ISKCON, but he used to say, as long as we're still plugging in the fan, we're still plugging in, then we're naturally inviting reactions in the illusory plane. So it is not a simple matter, and it depends on our own degree of self-giving and self-sacrifice. In the outline of the steps of devotion that Srila Rupa Goswami has given, bhajana kriya, then anartha nivritti. Bhajana kriya means our service activity, our practicing life, that will automatically affect anartha nivritti, purification of ourself, purification of all the dirt within our hearts. So as much as we are engaging ourselves on the positive side, to that degree, there will be purification on the negative side. That is a natural thing. So it depends. I mean, again, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, she always emphasizes everything is consciousness. And so initiation also, it is to do with consciousness. It is not a formality at all. Okay. And then let's see. There's another thing here. I had a conversation about vices with a devotee. I find it baffling that everywhere in the world, vices are the same. On the whole, we seem to be unable to overcome them. And this devotee said something about how this is the work of Mahamaya. Yes. Maybe that's not a question, just a comment. Okay, well, does that make sense, Anadi Krishna Prabhu? If you want to say something. Okay.
Didi?
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, am I on? Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm figuring this whole thing out. It's the first time I use this thing. It's on the cell phone.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that makes sense. Chinmoy Prabhu, did you want to say something?
I just have a really quick question because I've heard Gurudev make a difference between Harinam initiation and Diksha initiation. Because he'll say, yes, this disciple has taken Harinam initiation from one sannyasi, but he's not his Diksha guru. Have you ever heard this difference made?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, here I'm using it in a very broad sense. And I just mean in a very general sense, guru accepting the disciple under their care. But traditionally, yes, sometimes the second initiation is referred to as Diksha. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the whole, what we do is relatively new. I'm not sure exactly how new. Maybe I think from the time of Saraswati Thakur, like the giving of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and the Japa Mala, making that like a formal thing. That wouldn't have been referred to as Diksha. Diksha would refer to the giving of a Gayatri mantra. And the chanting of the Maha Mantra would have been something more, I don't want to say casual, but it wouldn't have been made, it wouldn't have been given in a formal way like has been done within our recent missions, Krishna conscious Gaudiya Vaishnava missions. I mean, like Mahaprabhu used to chant on, he would have his cloth, he would tie into knots and he would chant on those knots. So it wasn't like the way that we have the ceremony and we refer to it as a formal initiation for the giving of the Maha Mantra. That's something relatively new. I believe from the time of Saraswati Thakur. So more traditionally, Diksha will refer to what we now call second initiation. So yeah, sometimes we'll hear it used in that way. And then Harinam Diksha is like a kind of a new development that has evolved. So yeah, sometimes it will be, but like in the scriptures, you'll see Diksha mentioned, and that sometimes, and that's referring to the giving of a particular mantra from from guru to disciple, not the giving of the Maha Mantra as we practice nowadays. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, Didi. Thank you. That clears it up.
Okay.
Vishakha?
Yes.
I heard him say one time that the first initiation, and it was a long time ago, but the first initiation is the disciple accepting guru, and then the second initiation is guru accepting disciple. But anyway.
The first initiation is disciple accepting guru, and the second is guru accepting disciple. I mean, maybe Gurudev meant that maybe he was speaking in terms of a broader range of meaning. Like the first level of initiation. I don't think he would be referring specifically to the initiations, but in a deeper sense, like what does initiation really mean? I'd have to hear the context, but I would think he meant like that. Like another thing, what comes to mind is another comment I heard Gurudev make a few times, that in the first stage, we will search after Krishna, but in the second stage, Krishna will search after us. So that kind of idea comes to mind. Search for Sri Krishna, and then loving search for the lost servant. And then the idea being that we want to make ourselves so attractive in devotion that the Lord will want to seek after us. That is a higher type of devotion. In Saraswati Thakur, he mentioned that about he gave the example of Madhavendra Puri, how the Gopal deity wanted to see Madhavendra Puri. What type of devotion did he have that Gopal was personally, reaching out to him and begging him, please come and take me from here, please rescue me. So Yeah, that's a beautiful comment. I mean, that makes sense. You know? We are accepting Guru, but then at a higher stage, when we are more developed, you know, he will truly accept us. Yeah, and then also on this topic, you know, we're also told, Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj have both very clearly stated that we can get everything through the Maha Mantra, through the Harinam initiation, Harinam Diksha. By which I mean to say that even though the way we're doing things now isn't necessarily how it was traditionally done, still we can get everything through that. And they express that it is more valuable, and we can get everything through the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Yeah. Okay. So we can go back to our. So then Chintamani had some nice questions.
Vishakha Devi, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, is that Nanda Sarupini?
Yes, Devi, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was just, because we were saying before, you know, when you said the more we try to surrender and attach to Guru, then then also the more, how are you saying it? Like,
The more, you mean the more that we are giving ourselves to the higher side, then automatically we will become freed from our entanglement with the lower side. That idea?
I think so. Yeah, no, because I think so, because it sounded something like the more challenges will also come, or the more ugliness will. And I was just asking a bit about clarification,
Okay.
but I think you just clarified it. I think So the more we try, the better it is. Crazy.
Right.
I suppose.
Okay. Well, no, I wasn't saying that, but yes, that is true. Definitely. You know, there will be a purging that takes place. You know, we will. You know, we have to open that can of worms. Lots of messy things are gonna come out, and it's very difficult because it's something that will discourage us, but it's actually a sign of progress. Because when we first start, when we're young and naive in Krishna consciousness, and everything feels very easy and very simple, and we have that fresh enthusiasm, and it just seems very straightforward, and we feel so good about ourselves. But then once we go deeper into the practice and our impurities start to come to the surface, then that can be quite overwhelming. That can be very discouraging. But we have to remember that it's actually a symptom of progress. And it's really, Srila Sridhar Maharaj talks about this in one of the sermons books, how it's actually a symptom of grace that we are able to perceive our faults, our anarthas. And, he explained this prayer, Om, we are always chanting, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshor Militanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. What is that verse saying? It is a prayer to Guru, saying that I am in darkness, and Guru has come, and I'm blind. I'm in darkness. I'm blind. I cannot see. We cannot see our own condition. We cannot see ourselves. We are blind, and so Guru is coming, and he's shining the torch. He's shining the light. He's removing the cataracts from our eyes, enabling us to see. And so, previously, we were very happy in illusion. We were very happy in the mud. We didn't see anything wrong with ourselves. But it is the grace of Guru that is shining that light, giving us the eyes to see what is our real condition. Yes, exactly. Ignorance is bliss. So we have to see that that is grace. And it's a challenge because that's, it's something that can make us want to give up, and we see that. I had a long talk recently with one devotee who was saying that they felt like they just wanted to give up in Krishna consciousness because they felt like they weren't getting anywhere. And how when they started out, they were so enthusiastic, they were so happy about everything, and that now they felt like they'd been practicing so long and they hadn't gotten anywhere, and they didn't have that initial enthusiasm that they used to have. So that's something that many of us go through, and we want to give up. But that's the point when we actually have to pick ourselves up with renewed determination and keep going and understand that we're moving to level 2 now. We've actually got a promotion. So it is a happy thing, and we can't allow ourselves to become pessimistic. Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes that as an atheistic tendency. Because, and he said, faith is naturally optimistic. It is the nature of faith for one who is faithful to be optimistic, to be hopeful. Why? Because we have confidence that the Lord is there. Guru is there, the Vaishnavas are there, and they can purify us. We don't have the capacity, and this is what we have to remember, that it's not down to us. Because it's actually a kind of ego within us that we want to be perfect, and we can't tolerate not being perfect. It's humiliating to have to face our inadequacies. So there's humility in just accepting, this is what I am, but as I am, I'm still trying, I'm still going on. And there's this beautiful verse, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj includes in Prapana Jivanamritam, na dharma nishtosmi, na chatma vedi, na bhakti mamstvak chadanara vinde, Akinchano nanya gati shadanya tatpadamulam sharanam prapadye. That I don't know anything about Dharma, I don't know anything about religion, about Dharma, I don't know anything about the Vedas, I don't know anything about the soul, and I also don't know anything about Bhakti. But such as I am, I'm surrendering myself to you. So please accept me, As I am, please accept me. Please accept me. And that was something that Gurudev appreciated, because we have this idea sometimes, I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll wait till I'm perfect. But we saw devotees who came with all their inadequacies, but fully gave themselves to Gurudev, not making any pretense of being something else, but as they were, giving themselves to Gurudev. And that was something Gurudev appreciated. But being fearful, not going forward, not trying, giving up because we're afraid of failure, that is sad, and that won't get us anywhere. And ultimately that is based upon our own ego. We have to accept the fact that we are in a lowly condition, but that's okay. And we have to, embracing the Lord's guardianship. This is one of the limbs of surrender. So, there must be this optimism and hope that is based upon our faith in the Lord's grace, in Guru's potency, in the grace of the Vaishnavas. We have to remember Krishna consciousness is always up to down, not down to up. And we're always hopeful to receive that descending mercy, that descending grace. And it is, the way that we can channel those feelings of inadequacy that we have is to try to become more dependent upon Guru and Vaishnava, to increase our that need to take shelter. We want to run to take shelter at their lotus feet. Does that clear things up?
Thank you so much. Very deep, very wonderful.
Yeah, Chintamani had a question that was related to that, about real sincerity versus low self-esteem. Yeah, that's another point that because we're all coming with our bag of issues, and we can mix those things up. We can, as I said, we can become very pessimistic about our failings, and that's not an expression of true humility, of true spiritual humility. It can be an expression of ego. And yeah, I mean, sometimes we see devotees who have, if we're talking about low self-esteem, they have like serious issues that need to be addressed, and they may not be able to depend fully on their spiritual practice. In more extreme cases, some mental issues, or some psychological issues, whether less or more advanced. Sometimes if persons are dealing with serious issues of low self-esteem or insecurity or depression, then the best thing they can do is get some help for that, but recognize it as a material issue. And just like if you break your knee, you need to see a doctor. So if we have some psychological issue or some depression or whatever it may be, then the best thing we can do may be to get some help separately for that. Because I see sometimes devotees who they just mix it all up, and they have like serious issues with depression, et cetera, and that becomes like a stick that they use as part of their spiritual practice, which is not healthy. So we need to recognize these issues that we have within ourselves, and try to make some distinction. And in real humility, there's actually a confidence in real humility. not the confidence that we know of in the material world that's based on arrogance and, you know, self-centeredness, but there's a confidence in dependency upon the Lord, you know, humility, you know, real humility can express itself like that, you know, because there's this, you know, deep dependency in the connection with Guru and Gauranga. And, you know, actually, several of Gurudev's personal, it was something that surprised me. I don't know, maybe Chinmoy Prabhu also experienced it, but two different personal servitors of Gurudev, they told me that one of the main things that was like a theme in their exchange with Gurudev was to be confident. You know, that it was like an ongoing thing where he encouraged them. Saraswati told me that, and also Nakul Prabhu. And I don't know if with others, but he encouraged them. He didn't like to see that they were hesitating or very doubtful, but he would encourage them to have confidence in their service, you know? Because it's not that what we're doing is an expression of our own ego, but we're doing what we're doing. Of course, we have to be cautious, but that's different from being insecure or doubtful or hesitating. You know, we have to consider what is the best course of action, and then with sincerity, we simply try our best, you know, depending ultimately on the will of Guru, the will and the grace of Guru and Gauranga. And we can't be afraid to make mistakes. Also, Gurudev liked that expression, failure is the pillar of success. So, you know, we can't be afraid of that. We have to build on that. You know, we can gain, we can learn from everything. And he also made this comment once. He said that he was speaking about the early days when he was serving in the Math as a young brahmachari, and he said this was my mood. My mood was that whatever I could do, I did that. And he said, and I never lamented, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, but simply whatever I could do, I did. And he said Guru Maharaj was very happy with that. So there's this confidence that comes out of dependence upon the Lord. You know, that our concern is that we are properly situated in our mood. Our concern is that we are trying as best as we can. And what the result is, that's something else. You know, that's up to Krishna. And we cannot tie our well-being up with the results of our activity, you know, but we're simply trying to situate ourselves properly, and we are students also. So we are, you know, when, you know, if anything, if something within us that we're doing wrong becomes apparent, we should be happy to discover that, in the same way that a student will be happy if their teacher points out an error that they made in a paper that they wrote, you know. Then oh, I understand where I'm going wrong, now I can improve, you know. Or you know, in any field, you know, a science researcher or ballerina, you know, if their tutor points out to them where they're going wrong, they'll be happy, because then they can improve their performance, they can improve their research or whatever it may be. So we have to, and that was something else Gurudev used to say, you know, that we are students. So we're trying to keep that mood, and in that mood we'll be happy to have our failings become apparent to us, or to be pointed out to us. We're trying to be progressive and optimistic. You know, this is the proper mood. And real humility is something that comes, one way that Srila Sridhar Maharaj described it is as it is the outcome of proximity to greatness. There are different ways in which he's discussed the subject. This is one way, the outcome of proximity to greatness. That's something very positive, actually. Like we often give the example, if you're standing in front of a big mountain and you feel very insignificant, but there's something very joyful about that too. Wow, I'm standing in front of this amazing, beautiful thing, and I feel very small by comparison, but very happily so. And that was part of the magic of our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. That he made us realize how joyful it could be to be in a lower position, to be in the position of a servitor. In front of him, we were happy. Before with him, we were happy to do the most insignificant service. We got some idea. And all these things that we hear, we got some idea of the reality of them through Gurudev. What it means to be a slave. What is the joy of being the slave to Krishna? We got some idea with Gurudev. We were very happy to embrace that position of an aspiring servitor. That there's a joy there that accompanies genuine humility, and that is something different from low self-esteem and all these other issues that we're bringing up. So, I mean, to some extent, it's helpful. When it's helpful in bringing about a degree of humility, just to have some awareness of our faults. But that's that type of humility. It is within the relative plane. Real humility is something deeper that comes out of our connection with the higher plane. Chintamani, does that satisfy you? You can type yes or no. Okay. Well, then the other question that she had is also really nice. What about aspiring sadhakas utilizing their conditions, potential mental illness, delusion as proper devotional service, and no room for discussion, feedback? Okay, well, I'm not entirely, I think Chintamani is not able to speak right now. I would like some clarification on that. But what I can say is that whatever we have, it can be used in service. I mean, not everything, but for the most part, we can use what we have, whatever skills or whatever particular nature we have. We can use that. Whatever attachments that we have, we can try to channel them in connection with Krishna consciousness. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's described this, and I was very happy when I came across this relatively recently, this explanation he gave, where he said this is the madhyam stage. of practice. This is a middle stage practice when when everything within us we try to channel in Krishna consciousness. So he said, for example, we like to make money, then we use that. We like to do business, then we try to use that for service to Krishna. We like to talk, then we can use that nature, that skill for the service of Krishna. We like to cook, then we can cook for Krishna. The idea being that we have, these are actually acquired tendencies. These tendencies are a result of our karma, the result of, they're the outcome of a particular acquired nature, which we have, which has developed, over so many lifetimes. So it's what I mean to say is that we don't know who we are, and whatever we conceive of as being our personality at present, it doesn't represent who we actually are. It does not represent the swarup, the true inner spiritual nature. That is completely unknown to us at present. So we, whatever nature we have, whatever personality we have at present, that we like to read, we like to write, we like to cook, we like to garden, etc., all these things I've mentioned. We can, that doesn't represent who we are at present. So it's actually something material, a particular skill or particular nature that we have at present. That's actually something material. Nevertheless, we are trying to offer that in service to Krishna. And in doing so, we will be purified of our material nature. We're offering something material to the spiritual. And as a result of that transaction of self-offering, self-sacrifice, and corresponding grace, then the material aspect will become purified. So this is the madhyam stage of practice, and what we are aspiring for. There's that famous verse, which is a definition of pure devotion, of Srila Rupa Goswami, where it's mentioned, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate, that that he is who is Krishna. He's referred to as Rishikesh, the Lord of the senses. And what is bhakti? To offer our senses unto him. So whatever our bag is, whatever accumulated desires or habits or qualities we have, we're trying to dovetail that, whatever it may be, trying to use that in Krishna's service. And purification will take place. Does that answer your question, Chintamani? I might need you to clarify that at some time. Okay, she's saying I was referring kind of to narcissism, sociopathic tendencies among spiritual leaders. People who disagree with them get labeled negatively instead of cooperating. Oh, okay. Okay, this is a different issue. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, try to avoid those persons. I mean, it depends. If someone, if we are in a position to say anything, I mean, it's the responsibility of other leaders to try to correct such a person. Otherwise, if we don't have any position or to be able to make an adjustment to help that person or to resituate them, then the best thing we can do is damage control or try to avoid the whole thing. I mean, it just depends, time, place, circumstance. You know, it depends how serious it is. By damage control, I mean trying to support those who have a hard time with those kind of tendencies. The persons who have suffered under that kind of leadership, to try to support them. That's what I meant. Yeah, I mean, it depends also how serious it is. You know, I mean, if it's something that, because the thing is, being in a position of leadership is very difficult. And there's many, you know, what we have to remember about those persons is that they're on their own journey. They're learning their own lessons. They're facing their own tests. And maybe they're failing, but that's their part of their path. And sometimes we have to give space to those persons. We have to allow them. You know, they need that time to you know, go through whatever they need to go through. And naturally, a reaction will have to come. So that may be a learning curve for them. You know, we don't, what I mean to say is, we don't want to think of anyone as being outside the realm of Krishna's mercy. And, you know, they have their own relationship with Krishna, with their guru, and they have their own lessons to learn. And whatever, you know, wrong they have done, you know, naturally the reaction will come, and they'll have to face that. And that will adjust them eventually. It may not be this lifetime, it might be next lifetime. So what I mean to say is, we want to keep spiritual vision. We don't want to see these things in a material way. We have to remember that Krishna is there, and they're on their own journey. And depending on the exact nature of such a person's tendencies and the degree of disturbance that they're causing, we will have to deal with it accordingly. So that may mean just tolerating it and trying to support them support them in an appropriate way, not by encouraging such behavior, but you know, if it's possible to adjust them in some way, we can try to do that, or to try to support other devotees who are suffering under such a situation. Then if it's more serious, then we may need to just take a step back, or discuss it with another senior Vaishnava to see if they can help. You know, it will depend upon the exact situation. And someone's saying here, dislike the sin and not the sinner. Yes, for sure. That's absolutely right. You know, we have to remember, you know, everyone has potential. You know, ultimately, you know, Jiva Srupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We all hold that potential to be an eternal servant of Krishna. That is our constitutional nature, and that potential is within us. And we have to remember that the soul is pure. And we cannot become, we don't want to become judgmental of anyone. That won't be helpful for them, that won't be helpful for ourselves. We have to keep a mood of compassion, keep some degree of detachment also. We cannot allow ourselves to become overly angry or upset or emotional about these situations. Yeah, but I mean, it's difficult. It's very difficult if someone who's in a position of leadership, you know, to have to, you know, if they have such tendencies within them. Someone who we want, what I mean is someone who we want to look up to, or others want to look up to, you know, that they are displaying such tendencies. It is very sad. Another thing we have to remind ourselves is that we don't know who or where anyone is. And as we were mentioning earlier, there's a purging process that will take place in Krishna consciousness. So it may be something like that. It may be that there's some purging that's taking place. We just don't know. We don't know. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. And just deal with the situations according to time, place, and circumstance. And I have a private message here from someone. We've been in all conditions of life to extend empathy even to our so-called enemies, maybe offer respects from a distance, depending on how serious it is. Yes, yes, that's another thing. And I have another private message from another devotee. Gurudev told me my religion is to find fault with myself. Yes, that is also very true. But yes, this is another nice point. And it was Sadhu Priya Prabhu in Australia. He reminded me of this recently, where there was an issue, quite a heavy situation actually. Not someone in leadership, but some wrong activity one of the devotees had committed. And unfortunately, there was a lot of judgment and rejection. It was a serious, how can we say, it was quite a serious wrongdoing that had been committed. But still, I was somewhat disappointed at the degree of judgment and rejection that I found amongst the community. And I was discussing it with Sadhu Priya Prabhu. And I was saying some of my reasons for, you know, for being compassionate for that devotee who had committed this wrong. And then he said, you know, the only thing I have to say is that I'm sure I did that myself at some point, you know, and that was a good blow to my ego, because I was like in this mood of like, oh, we have to be merciful, you know, like. And I realized I was so egotistic when what he said was perfectly correct, you know. In all the births that we've been through since time immemorial, no doubt we've committed the most terrible, wicked acts, you know, at one point or another. So that's a humbling thought for us to contemplate, you know, before we go to point the finger at someone. We have to consider what no doubt we ourselves have done in previous births. Yeah, offering respects from a distance, of course, that is something Gurudev would advise us sometimes. We want to situate ourselves at a degree which will enable us to continue having a mood of respect. So it may mean we have to stand far away from that person to do so. Good fences make good neighbors. Yes, boundaries are always helpful. There was actually, this is kind of interesting, I don't remember her name, but she became kind of famous. This lady, she did she was some kind of a psychologist. I can't remember her name. It might have been something Brown. Someone might have heard of her. But she did this sociological study about this kind of stuff. But what was very interesting, what surprised her, she interviewed so many people. And one really interesting thing that she discovered was that people who have the clearest boundaries, they were yes, Brene Brown. Yes, that was it. Yeah, thank you, yeah. Something like that. But this was a really interesting point that surprised her in her study, that she discovered that the people with the clearest boundaries, they were the most compassionate. They had the clearest boundaries about what they would and wouldn't accept, what kind of relationship they would or wouldn't had, but at the same time, they were the most compassionate. They were the most tolerant. And I thought that was very interesting, because you have to be at a particular distance in order to be able to appreciate someone, to be compassionate. You know, it doesn't mean that you're going to get in the middle or get involved with all of their you know, dysfunctional activities and dysfunctional patterns. You know, that's not real compassion. You know, so there needs to be some distance sometimes in order to appreciate, in order to be able to extend compassion. So yes, respect from a distance. Okay, I had another private message here. How does one purify sex desire if one is gay? I mean, this is a big subject matter. I mean, I had this question recently as well. I can't remember if it was on this Monday talk, but the gist of what I would say to that is that, you know, we you know, our gurus have given us, and I mean, ideally, sex is for procreation, and that's it. You know, that's the ideal, and that's the standard which has been given to us. But at the same time, not everybody can live up to that standard, and you know, that's okay too. You know, one is not going to be rejected, one is not going to be disqualified if they cannot follow fully the principles and regulations which have been extended to us. And also, if someone is, you know, if we try to force something too much, if we try to artificially deny a particular nature within ourselves, then that also won't be good. So, you know, I mean, I can't sit here and be politically correct and say it's okay to do whatever you want, and you know, no, I mean, you know, sex is a material activity, you know, whether you're gay or not gay, and it is very binding activity, and I can't sit here and say otherwise. And so ideally, what is recommended is that sex is something that is only done for the purpose of having a child. It doesn't matter whether you're gay or you're straight. However, not everyone can live up to that, and that's okay too, you know, and that doesn't represent. I mean, it's not something that is going to disqualify you from the practice of Krishna consciousness. And you know, no doubt we all have bad habits which are difficult for us to give up. Of course, there is a gradation there, but in a broad sense, we're all struggling with our material attachments. We can't all keep up to the standard that our gurus want from us. But our gurus aren't rejecting us because of that, you know, and we're trying to get on the mercy boat, and you know, we're all just trying to do the best that we can, and we're not judging people according to how they're conducting their private lives. So that's just something which, as individuals, everyone has to work out, you know. I mean, if of course, if someone's in a position like myself, I'm wearing this cloth, and there is a particular standard which is expected. So for someone like myself, you know, there's no question about that. But otherwise, you know, I mean, celibacy really is something for everyone. But in the cloth, then it is something to be taken much more seriously. And yeah, I mean, what can I say, you know? We must do our best. I have another comment. Why even have sex at all? Shouldn't the rule be no one should have sex? Isn't it irresponsible to bring kids into this world, into this material world? Isn't it irresponsible to bring kids into this material world? I mean, that's a big discussion. That's a big discussion. One way, I'll answer it like this. I mean, that's something that we may need another hour to talk about. I don't know if we want to do that tonight, because there's many points to be considered there. But I'll answer it like this, and this is how Gurudev answered a similar question, that we don't want to be hypocrites. And so if someone has a strong urge for that life, then how can they be forced to give it up? You know? If it's, you know, and they can become hypocritical if they're if they're holding that desire in their heart, but it's unnatural to them in their current stage of consciousness. So, you know, Krishna consciousness is not about repression. You know, there has to be, you know, freedom of choice for practitioners to be able to express their desires, their particular attachments. So that's, you know, what can I say? That's an individual choice, and again, we're not about judging or labeling people. And besides that, this world is, I mean, this whole world is a mistake anyway. You know, this, I mean, in the sense that this is a world of mistake. So to sit and, you know, we don't want to sit and point the finger at people for making a particular mistake. You know, we've all made so many mistakes. Our coming to this world was a mistake. So there's so many irresponsible things that we're doing all the time. So I don't feel the need to pick that out in particular. I feel like that's more of a social issue than a spiritual issue. And I think that's an individual choice. Ramananda Prabhu says, read Bhagavad Gita. Jai, no objection to that. And then Govinda Nandini is saying about others' behavior annoying us. First of all, leaders, because their behavior is highlighted, copied many things, this distance is essential. Find this position where we are not blinded by others' mistakes and can have some space for our own mistake. Pray to acquire the proper vision and exercise the muscle of tolerance. Very nice. Jai, thank you for sharing, Govinda Nandini. Okay, well, we've had some pretty heated discussion this evening. many topics, lots of controversy. Controversial, sensitive, many points of discussion. Does anyone want to add anything there? Or should we stop there for tonight? Happy to have everyone's participation, everyone's contribution.
Thank you very much, Vishakha Didi. Very sweet, very nice.
Dandavat Ramananda Prabhu. Happy to have you with us.
Oh, I just had this question about the last sentence. I was thinking about this 2 hours ago. So I'm tolerating some things because I don't have the proper vision. Things that annoy me, it's because I didn't acquire the proper vision, or I tolerate it.
I was reading, you can look in the comments here. I was reading Govinda Nandini's comment.
Oh, it's me.
Oh, is
Me.
that you? Oh, sorry.
This is my question. Sorry, the microphone fell. I think my voice was too.
I'm sorry. I thought it was the other Govinda Nandini for some reason. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Govinda Nandini BR.
I thought it was the other one. Because I thought it said on your screen, Juliana.
Oh, I just changed it.
You changed it. Okay, so I got confused.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so wait. So what is it you're saying? That was a question?
For example, if I feel the urge to tolerate, it's because something annoys me. So I think to myself, I need to tolerate. I need to tolerate it because I don't have the proper vision? Or do we tolerate having the proper vision? Otherwise, I didn't need to tolerate.
I mean, I think it just depends how you're defining tolerance. And I think it depends what, I mean, there's different layers of tolerance. I mean, there's the, like, the kind of dry, artificial tolerance where you're just like biting your lips. or like one way I heard Srila Sridhar describe it is he said, shastric tolerance. I appreciated that. Like sometimes we're just tolerating, oh, the Shastra says this, or the Guru says this, so I'm trying to follow it. And that has some value. That has that has its place. That's a good thing. But deeper, and I have another comment here, tolerating with love, yes. That's a deeper expression of tolerance. There's a very nice article by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which was revolutionary for me, where he equated tolerance with compassion. That was revolutionary for me. That changed everything for me. Compassion. That's something much different from just, biting your tongue, or just like enduring something in a very stoic way. That's very different from like having a deep, heart feeling for that person who's disturbing us, understanding where they're coming from, why they're behaving like that, and wishing the best for them. Not reacting. We can understand tolerance as well in this way, simply not reacting to that disturbance out of a feeling of compassion and understanding. So that's something different. Does that answer the original question? Or
Yes, thank you. Great topics to think about. Always, every day.
Can you say that again, what your question was?
Something comes and annoys me. Then I have the urge to tolerate it. Because I just have no capacity, no possibility to do anything about it. Then Is it because I don't have the proper vision?
I see.
That's why I need to tolerate. Otherwise, it wouldn't annoy me. Because I have the proper vision, so I see reality.
Well, that's not true, because there's a difference between understanding and realization, right? There's a difference between theoretical understanding and actually having realized something in our heart. So, like sometimes we may be facing a difficult situation, and theoretically we can remember, oh, this is what I heard from Gurudev, this is what I heard from Srila Sridhar, this is what I've read in Bhagavad Gita, and I can understand that this is how I should see this situation, but that's not actually how we feel. You know, we can understand this is how I should feel. This is how a real Vaishnava would feel. This is how my Gurudev would feel. How a pure Vaishnava would feel, I mean. We can understand that, but it hasn't actually realized that truth hasn't actually been realized within our hearts. So therefore, we're feeling disturbance and we're feeling irritation. But we can see, you know, we're like standing over here and we can see a higher way of responding. And this is what real spiritual practice is about trying to regulate our responses according to higher truths, which we haven't actually realized yet, right? This is the challenge in our spiritual practice. We're trying to do something that we haven't actually realized. You know, we can understand it and we can try to follow it, but we haven't realized it yet in our heart. So there's some friction there. This is what yoga means. You know, that we're regulating our behavior, regulating our activity according to higher principles, which haven't really you know, taken deep hold within our hearts yet. But we have some degree of faith and we're trying to follow them. So, you know, there's merit there. That's the word I was looking for. There's still, we shouldn't discount ourselves because we're feeling that irritation. There's still some merit. There's a great deal of merit there in trying to follow the right path, even if we don't really feel it deeply in our hearts. You know, and that will come at a, you know, as time goes by, you know, if we, you know, by ignoring the lower urges we have to react in a particular way, then we are growing, you know, by trying to align ourselves with higher truth and in denying those lower urges to respond in another way, there's going to be some growth that takes place as a result, and we'll move closer towards that genuine realization within our hearts. And we'll see, sometimes we'll see, oh, it's not as difficult this time as it was before. Now it's become more natural. You know, that egoistic response, it's become less dominant within me. And now this is feeling more natural, you know. This is all part of the process of purification. But yeah, it's a nice point.
Vishakha Devi, can I add something if you don't mind?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Like a Guru Maharaj or Gurudev said, Krishna is Lord of love, but he comes to test us. See? So Jeev Jago, Mahaprabhu is telling, wake up. See? So they're trying to wake us up because we're trying to hallucinate. We are trying to escape, surrender so many lifetimes. So they're telling, actually, Guru Maharaj says it's friendly, it's favorable, so tolerate, compound.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
You welcome. Thank you.
Didi, I'm thinking that maybe the differentiation between tolerance and proper vision isn't exactly accurate. Tolerance is proper vision. And like you were saying, what's the certain level that we have? So, you know, are we at the level of biting our lips to be tolerant, or are we at the level of a Vaishnava who's saying everything is coming by the mercy of the Lord and for our own benefit? So tolerance is proper vision.
Yes.
What level are we at?
Right. Very nice. Very nice. Yes.
Okay. Oh, you mean like if I have to bite my lips, it's because it's not tolerance, right? That's what you mean?
No, I mean, that is if you're trying, Prabhu's saying here that these are actually the same thing. That if you are trying to regulate your responses, that is a result of proper vision. right? Maybe you don't have the full realization, but you have some proper understanding. And so you are adjusting your behavior accordingly. So she looks happy.
Sweet devotees, your association is everything to me.
Jai. And Jayadev saying, agreeing with what we're saying, I'd add that it is the result of proper vision. Yes, exactly.
Right before you said that, I typed that right in. It's funny. The same word. Very nice. Thank you so much.
And I have another private message here. So the environment is always favorable, as Srila Sridhar says. Can you shortly elaborate on that? And can we forgive from a distance? Yeah, I mean, in answer to the second question here, sometimes we have to forgive from a distance. Sometimes that's the best way to deal with the situation. Sometimes that's the healthiest way for us to be able to change our heart, to feel forgiveness. And that may also be the healthiest thing for the other person who we feel the need to forgive. And then the environment is always favorable. Can I shortly elaborate on that? The environment is always favorable because everything is coming to help us, to adjust us. That may not be according to our own idea, our own material idea of what is favorable, but on a deeper level, it is coming to help us, to adjust us, to purify us. Sometimes it's not possible to be around those that you want to apologize to. Yes, I'm in agreement. And as I said, it may be the best thing to take a step back. You know, that association may not be healthy for us. So yes, there's nothing wrong with that, and that may be the best thing to do. Okay, well, maybe we'll finish there for this evening, unless anyone else wants to add any other comments, or if you want to suggest a topic for next week. Otherwise, we can stop there.
Thank you so much, Didi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, all of you, for your good association, and wishing you all the best for the week ahead, and look forward to the next week. Okay. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.
Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki.
Yeah.
Thank you, Didi. So good. So nice discussion. Very nice. Thank you very much.